Shows podcast.
Hello, everybody. This is your girl, Dawn and William. You are listening or watching on YouTube Research Shows podcast, and this is a segment I like to call My Two Cents. So today we have a special guest, a returning guest. You know I love my returning guest. This is Dr. Rome, and his business is called Empowerment Media. And he has a new business venture called Father-ish, where it addresses like a community issue in regards to the lack of fathers in the community. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Don. I'm doing great now that I'm talking to you. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to finally, be on here again.
Yes, absolutely.
Great response from last time. So thank you for having me on.
Yes. So anybody who want to go back and listen to Dr. Rome, he was the season finale of season 2. He was on that one. He was the last person I interviewed on that particular episode. But anyway, tell everybody about this. What is Father-ish? What is this about?
Well, Father-ish is a podcast that I'm beginning. And the whole purpose, as we look in our community today, particularly in the Black community, a lot of the issues that we have are relational, and many of them come from the lack of the influence of a father in the household. And as we look across the board, the spectrum, you see our young boys having issues in school with behavior and discipline, how they conduct themselves, how they interact with one another, and with women and females. You look at our young girls and our women, there's a disconnect between the males and the females. And how we're conducting ourselves in public, and the father has a huge impact on that. So the lack of a father has a huge impact on that. So I'm just going to share, my purpose is to share my experience and to interview other fathers and people who have a vested interest in us as a people, getting control of our families, getting back control of who we are, because we've lost that, Mm-hmm. And as you look across the board nowadays, it's like 80% of our families are led by a single mother, and mothers do the best they can, and many of them are great mothers. They're great mothers, but they just can't fill that void of father. So hopefully, I can just share some experience, some wisdom from working with fathers, from working with families, where we can kind of take some of those things and share, experiences I've had. I grew up. I didn't grow up, but you grew up with my daughter, and so I know the impact of your father. And
yeah, absolutely,
it makes a difference.
Yeah, especially with ladies.
Beautiful, yes. Yeah. Oh, boys too.
Yeah, I think both sides, because my dad set the standard for what I view as a man is supposed to be. So I was used to a dad going grocery shopping and, able to cook for himself and running errands. So when I hear when women talk about what they do in regards to having to register the child for school and everything on them, I didn't see that. Like, my dad was heavily involved in doing all that. And I didn't realize how good of a father I had until I got married the first time. And he was
wow.
A something.
Wow.
And I was like, look, he wouldn't even take the trash out. And I was just like, I saw a father working in the government sector who would be in a business suit taking out trash. It was no question his role, in our lives, to give us a male perspective who, taught us a lot of things. And one particular incident that happened with me, the first husband, he was so trifling. And we lived in a horrible neighborhood. They stole my tire, had my tire sitting on a brick. And my dad came out and helped me. And he never input his views on my relationships. But this time he did. And he was like, while he's showing me what to do, I should know what to do. I feel like I shouldn't. But he showed me how to get a wheel, how to go to a junkyard, how to price tires, all in one day. And then he said, "Where's your husband?"
Wow. How did you feel when he said that?
I felt like it must be significant because he's saying something. He never gave his opinion about my relationships. He always let me think for myself. So I was shocked And then I said, I had to really think like, yeah, my dad didn't handle all this stuff. Like my mother never took the cars to the mechanic or nothing like that. Like daddy did all that stuff. In fact, she never even shopped for a car. Like daddy went, taught me, I was watching him, taught me how to look for a car in the newspaper, how to I would go with him while he's purchasing cars, so I saw the interaction, how to conduct business, right? So when he said this about my ex-husband, I did kind of look like, yeah, he trifling, like, but he didn't have his father in his life, and the person who raised him, which was, it was somebody who wasn't blood related to him, treated the woman in the household like trash. So
Mm.
everything was on the woman. So that's all he saw. So he's looking at me like, well, shoot, we going 50-50, and you going to do everything, and you going to lug all the groceries in, and you going to look, do the laundry. And I didn't realize that. I didn't see that until that moment when he said,
Mm.
where is your husband?
Mm. And
Yeah.
that's so important. Not just fathers, but
Mm-hmm.
parents, good parents, make it look easy,
Mm-hmm.
because everything kind of works congruently. And so you just accept those things as the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're not there, you accept that same scenario as that's the way it is. It's normal. And so
Right.
it creates a void when two people get together. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but we don't discuss those things, before we get married. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's so important. So important. Like, my daughters. My daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I told them, look, when you meet a guy, I'm not judging. Bring him in. I want to sit down. I want to talk to him. I want to meet him. And I tell you what, after I talk to him, 15 minutes, half hour, whatever, we'll just kick it. Once he leaves, once you and I get together again, I'm gonna tell you what you got, what you're working with. I'm not
Right.
gonna tell you to go with him or not.
Right.
But this is what you have. This
'Cause-
is the kind of
yeah,
person you are. And if you want to be with him, that's fine. But just know this is what you're gonna have.
I
And
like that. I like that.
well, they didn't like it so much.
Well,
So
look, but you can't help who you are, because my dad looked at, because we was different. Me and Daddy, he said, I already know when your children bring their significant others, you're gonna be like that, hussy, and don't because I can't bite my tongue with somebody who's that close to my circle,
right,
because I feel like at least let me say something, so later on you can't say I never said nothing.
right. Well, it's not a matter. It's not a matter of you saying something, you know. And I say this, women, men talk to, we're different. And
Mhm.
people say, yeah, I know we're different physically. No, 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 no. We're different. We think different. We act different. We respond different. We see things differently. Men and women can see the same thing and see a total different scenario. And so there needs to be someone who can be objective to what's
Mhm.
going on. And
Mhm.
and fathers, not to say, I'm not going to say we're not special, but fathers, we have a different perspective on when we do have a family, when we're a father. I know my oldest daughter, I wasn't married to a mother, and so she wasn't in my life. I couldn't get in her life that much. So when I had my first daughter, it was like, this is the best thing happened to me. At first, I didn't know whether it was mine, right? So of course I had some doubt. Once I realized that was my daughter, it was like, okay, my first thing is I got to protect her. I'm gonna make sure she know everything. She's not gonna be a sucker. Ain't nobody gonna take advantage of her. I'm gonna pour all this into her head. I'm gonna constantly be talking to her and asking her questions, and I'm gonna be on top of this. And because I wasn't there all the time, I couldn't be around her all the time. I knew then that there were things that she wasn't getting, and it hurts because you have children, you don't want them to be hurt. You want to make sure nobody takes advantage of them, at least that they know what they're walking into. And men and women is more of a protection. With men, it's more of a, yeah, we want to protect them, but we all also want to give them a way to accomplish their goals, to get to where they're trying to get to. And it takes a strategy, so it's their feelings might be hurt, but I'm going to tell you what you need to know. Do with it what you may. You can't say I didn't tell you, you know.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
and then also, if I didn't teach it to you, or my wife, if I'm there, I see. If we didn't teach it to you, I can't assume that you know it. So I can't hold you accountable for it. So
Mhm.
if you do something And I said, why'd you do that? I don't know. You have to think, did I teach you about
Right.
that? Did I prepare you for that situation? No? Okay, that's funny. All right. So now let's start at day one and go back over it. Because that's the thing I think that we lose sight of, particularly today, is the value of the wisdom of the mother and the father.
Mm-hmm.
We
As a
don't
team.
hold the truth. As you said it. You know?
As a team, because one is like kind of complements the other. So like, I just was saying to somebody yesterday, I feel as though when you're in a relationship with somebody like especially husband and wife, it's like you should have the ability to check each other. Not necessarily one is higher than the other, but it's kind of like opposites in the perfect way. So I can get perspective where my husband be like, Don, that sounds crazy. You're looking too much into that. And then me, I'm just like, telling him things from my perspective as well. So, in my household, we had, two different children that have two different personalities, which I knew how to deal with one of the children's personality. And then because his kind of matched mine, and then my husband's matched the other child personality. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like we gave perspective on how you can't interact with that child that way because they don't respond. And it's kind of like we were saying the exact same things to each other and not realizing that we're saying the exact same things. It's just opposite personalities.
A lot of that has to do with the context,
Mm-hmm.
because, and I'm not judging anyone. I'm just, when vocabulary means a lot, the words that we use. And so when we say, I heard you say, we check one another, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not really checking. You're learning. Both of you are learning together because you don't know. You're learning about the children. So if we're partners, it's just like you said it perfectly. You're a team, right? So if you have a salon and you're doing the hair, and then you have a wash girl, someone that washes hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so by them washing the hair, they're seeing all the stuff that's in the hair and everything. And they come back to you, and you're doing something. You say, "Hey, look, this is such and such about their hair." They're not checking you, right? They're just sharing with you so that you can provide a better service,
right?
Because you want the team to win, right?
Right.
So you want your husband and you to win. So when we can understand that it's not about me against you, it's not about I'm checking you and you checking me. It's like we're trying to accomplish this goal. So together, we're sharing information and seeing perspectives. But the bottom line is, as men see it, when you have a child that has issues, you're looking at that man to guide, get that family back on point. Mm-hmm. The responsibility falls there, and so that man has to take that responsibility.
Now I want to ask your opinion on this right here, because my father said this and I found it to be true.